No, you're fine. So we are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook. And then we're going to
Wow.
be live on
Okay.
Twitter. Give me just a second. Now we're live on Twitter and then we're going to be live on my page in a second. And there we go. And now we're all good. Let me just make sure that we're live everywhere. Refresh the page, make sure we're live, and then we can just have a chit chat. So guys, if you're watching us right now, this is a very spontaneous come and meet and talk to us, and we're just gonna have a very coffee-like lunch conversation with whoever hops in. So if you want to hop in and you want to have a conversation and talk, oh, and I see a bunch of likes and stuff, that is so cool. Thank you. Hi, Clark. Clark, I haven't seen you in forever. Why don't you hop on in and say hi? That'd be fantastic. And you too, Allison, and you too, Ofer. So hop on in and we'll have a little chit-chat conversation. And because I'm seeing you on Facebook, let me just turn on the chat feature as well so we can see you up on here. I'm so awesome, Clark, because you are so awesome. Come on. There you go. We got some testing stuff. So let's see if we are the source. There we go. And let's see if we get any conversations in here. Not yet, not yet. Kind of thing, maybe.
Well, Stuart's here.
What's that?
I say I'm here.
I know you are. I'm just trying to get the Facebook comments to pop up and show up. And we'll see if they do. And then it'll be fantastic. And they don't
How do I open the panel? I forgot, so I can see who else in the room.
On the bottom, it says, I think, manage audience or something. Or maybe you can't see it.
Maybe share.
Maybe you can't see that. Yeah, so guys, if you want, just hop in and we'll have a conversation. And before we do anything, I want to, Stuart, you met the lovely Michael. Hey, Michael. Now you're on stream.
Hey.
So, when you guys see yourself in that little Zoom box, then you know everybody else in the world can see you.
Okay.
That's how it works. So, Stuart, where are you hanging out from?
Let's see. I'm in Picture Rocks, Arizona, inside a van, trying to figure out how I'm going to handle this as I try to drive home.
Well, I don't want you to crash, so please don't crash. Maybe park and then figure it out.
I got too much respect for you, Yifat. I wouldn't do that. Although it would be exciting.
No, I don't want to be another on Facebook Live. A car accident happened on Facebook Live.
I don't know if you want to see that.
Yeah, I don't think.
Let's see. The old cowboy's getting fired up here. I'll be right here. So I'm headed back through the Sonoran Desert out here. I'm about 20 miles outside of Tucson, Arizona. And you may see some scenery, you may not. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, take us on the road. Hey, Allison,
right.
Why don't you guys jump on in? Allison, I haven't seen you in forever. That'd be fantastic. And what's for lunch? We already had lunch, Ofer. Why don't you come on in? We had chicken and salad and other stuff. Michael, what did you have for lunch?
A breakfast taco.
I think that's like your main dinner, right? Dinner, breakfast, morning, everything.
It does the job. It does the job.
So, okay, so since you guys are here, so Michael, let's talk about you a little bit and
Sure.
our history and what you're doing in the world, because you're doing fantastic things. Hi, Maggie. Maggie, hop on in. You're doing fantastic things in the world, and you are definitely saving my well-being and my physical being. So thank you.
Well, my honor.
So let's talk about what you do, because since we started working together, you have a fantastic new title. And Stuart, I'm going to mute you just because of the car noises.
Oh, please.
Okay. So Michael, go for it.
Yeah. Well, Yifat, thanks for having me on your show. I I didn't know we were going to be on a show right now, so this is whatever stage fright I had. It's just have to get over it.
But But we're not really a show. We're just chit-chatting. So everybody,
Oh, we're
you can
chit-chatting.
jump on in. We're just chit-chatting.
All right.
Nothing formal. If anyone wants to come in,
Okay.
ask any questions, this is the website right here. You
Yeah.
can join us and just have fun getting to know each other.
Well, I've had my own bodywork practice for about 10 years. I was trained by a wonderful teacher named Yifat Cohen in a system called Body Mind Centering. And it's a system for, it's really about learning how to tune in to someone else's body to facilitate change. And I've loved working with clients in the role of a massage therapist. And then I became interested in whether I could apply hypnosis to helping clients with their pain levels. And so I ended up with a mentor named Anthony Jacquin, whose dad is Freddie Jacquin. And Anthony has a book called Reality is Plastic. And we hit it off really well. And the premise was, how can we use hypnosis to help clients in a conversational way, impromptu, while I was doing body work. And as far as I know, there wasn't a particular training or certificate for that. And so I love inventing things. I built my own tables. I built laser tools, just anything that I think is going to help with the client in mind. And about every 6 weeks, I kick off a new cycle of experimenting, inventing, and creating with the client as instigating change, their story of stress or distress. And we found, that's how Yifat and I found each other. Yifat came in with a story about her body. And was
that keeps going on and keeps going on. Like, we're now working on changing the story about my body, right?
Yeah, and the body is a lot of times I think we think that we control our lives often with thoughts, and that the way to control our situation is to think better thoughts, or the way we think we're going to change a behavior is to practice a new behavior that reflects a new set of goals and priorities, and basically a lot of thinking. But what that overlooks is that your body has always been the ground of your experience. And really, you are receiving such an incredible wealth of information right now through your body that you're not even paying attention to, and you don't need to control. You don't need to actually do anything about. And so there's this illusion of free will that we get tangled up in, that we need more control in our lives if we're going to get the change that we want. And one of the wonderful things about hypnosis is that we can just sort of bypass the role of being in control of the change and actually get change without doing anything.
Which is fabulous.
We can enroll your body in that conversation. And as you do that, you become just intimately aware of the ways that today you're going to have this wealth of feelings. You're going to have this incredible abundance of feelings. You're going to have 50,000 memories at the end of today, and that you're going to cut and splice these memories to reassure yourself that you're still who you are at bedtime, that you were when you woke up, but you're really not. Right. You've been changed all day long, and the defensiveness that we get into, or the stress that we get into, is often about trying to defend a position that we really shouldn't change as fast as we can. We have it kind of upside down.
Yeah, this is one thing that I love about you, because you always say, change doesn't have to take years, right? You can wake up tomorrow morning, or you can be at the end of a session and you are completely different if you just allow yourself to do that, which I'm still learning.
You can, there's ways that we are crafting the story of ourselves, and so it's part of learning. How do you, as the director of your own movie, get the job done?
Yeah.
Are you a Tarantino? Are you a Spielberg? Or what is your stylistic approach to your own movie? And if you're the writer, the director, the characters, and even the set designer, right? If you think about it, your aesthetics.
Yeah.
Then what are you really telling yourself at the end of the day? Are you being lazy about it? If you want some change, then rather than try to force, like any relationship, do you ever force your spouse to do anything? Come on, guys.
Well, it really depends who you're asking, right? It depends on what kind of a woman you're asking. So if we're asking Virginia, hey, Virginia.
Hey, Virginia.
It'd be great. If we're asking you, Virginia.
Hey. I love this conversation, Michael. I practiced clinical hypnotherapy for 25 years. So I'm wonderful. Right there with you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, and?
Yeah, Virginia, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd say that the power of persuasion is in your words and in your demeanor and even in your breath. I mean, I can say that I'm pretty good at persuading my husband on certain levels if he's close to moving in that direction anyway, not if he's resistant.
Right.
If there's resistance, there's some reason for that. There's some protective mode they're in, some, as you say, some point of view that they are really entrenched in. And no, I don't think there's going to be any way to persuade them.
Well, and so, I mean, part of being in a relationship is, choosing someone that is willing to be influenced by you,
True. Good point.
If they're not willing to be influenced by you, what's really happening?
Yeah. Then we're not even relating. Exactly. Yeah.
And so, we have less control than we think we do, and we have more influence than we realize. And I think it's like you said, each word can count.
Yeah.
Gestures do matter.
Yes,
that eye contact does matter. That apology does matter. How you're seen at the end of the day actually does matter. How you start the day, it does matter. But I think rather than worry about, did I get it right or not, when you realize that power it's a creative power. You can create any number of different outcomes today in your life. Why are you picking the one that you're picking? And is that reflect are you starting creative? And that's why part of my investigation turned on to sleep. And so the thing that Yifat and I have really been chiming about lately is my desire to run a community site around a premise of sleep and proper dreaming, where you basically restore yourself, but through a little more understanding about what proper dreaming what dreaming does for you, what dreaming does for your biology, and how if we've made lives that are so oversubscribed, how we're doing damage to our ability to dream well, and how our imagination needs to spark in dream, but we need to have the emotional headroom at the beginning of the day to make this day work. You can't wake up full. You want to wake up empty. You want to wake up fresh. And so my hypnosis launch, we titled it "The Most Boring Man in the World." And so my task as the most boring man in the world is to put you to sleep. Anytime that you need to, we'll have this community experience, the live show sort of a thing, where we will warranty a good night's sleep. You're going to get the rest that you really need, and get some clues about how do I deactivate the harshness towards myself and towards others that at the end of the day is corrosive, but not just on that, but at the end of the day is actually setting you up to fail tomorrow. So
what's really interesting about that, Michael, is that I don't think has anyone watching this has ever been able to control their dreams. I know a lot of people do suggestions, right? Before you go to sleep, you're going to give yourself a suggestion, and you hope to find an answer in the morning when you wake up, and they journal right when they wake up about what they dreamt about. But I don't know, can you actually control whatever it is that you're dreaming about?
Your imagination is the limit there. I mean, that's creative time. You're solving problems in metaphor from your waking life.
Yep.
In your dream. And some people will say that they're traveling and doing all kinds of things. But if we just take it at what we know, what research will tell us, we know that tonight in dream you're going to solve the problems of today that you're wrangling with, where you believe you failed to meet your own expectations or the expectations of others. So if you think about, where did I let the team down? Where did I let myself down? and find yourself stuck trying to revisit that story, and you're just trying to reimagine the same situation and the words you might have said differently, or the agreement that you realize you should have got, but it's all intellectual. You're not addressing the emotion. You're not actually freeing yourself from the emotional burden of whatever it is, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the upset. So the key question I'm playing with when I ask someone with respect to the dreaming is, what are you upset about? And that's really to me, that's the way in.
You know, it's so interesting because last night I could not sleep because I was upset about a conversation with my sister, and like literally the whole night I couldn't sleep. I was just turning because I was like, how am I going to wake up and have a conversation and make it so that she understands what I'm talking about? Should I use this?
You're describing everyone's situation, with family especially, right?
Yeah.
Because who does a better job of ignoring what you have to say and getting away with it, than your own family, right? Because they know you, right? So you're describing it right on. You're upset. There was a conversation. You turned throughout the night, and you wish you could have done it different. So when we're dreaming, we're using more metabolic resources. So if you're spending the night, the night you spent last night was a night of restlessness, right?
Yep. Yeah.
About an upset, and you never really deactivated the emotion from the day before. You didn't get to it before you went to sleep. And even you didn't do it well overnight because you still wrestled with it. And so the question I'd have for you now is, are you still upset about the conversation you had with your sister?
No, because, and Virginia, you're next. So actually it's really interesting, the two things that you said. First of all, I got so upset. I went to Krav Maga. I was like, okay, workout, I'm going to sweat. I'm going to take all that energy out. It's going to be fantastic. Didn't help. Shower, didn't help. Right? Go to sleep, I'm churning, I'm venting, nothing helps. I woke up in the morning, I called my sister, I'm like, okay, we need to talk about this. It doesn't help and I'm upset and I need you to understand me. So we talked for about an hour and some, she understood.
Yep.
And everything is fine in the world.
So this is part of the puzzle. We are wired to be social, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We co-regulate our emotions and our nervous system with one another, and the eye contact, the facial muscles. So we can even talk about, this is from the bodywork spectrum, we can talk about the nerves in your spine, the nerves that innervate your face, your eyes, the orbit of the eye, the actual hearing in your ears, the tonality of your voice reflects an energizing of the cranial nerves in your spine for social engagement. And we can pretty much say that if you are, if you're angry and you're withdrawing or you feel defeated, you go deeper and deeper into this nervous system response that expresses levels of anger or levels of withdrawal or disassociation and so on. But that's all happening in your body. So one of the ways we can take the hypnobody work and flip the script is that we can actually work from the ground up. We can use your body to hijack your brain, right? We can get into...
Yeah, okay. So how do we do that? How do we use the body? Like, okay, it's 2 a.m. We're flipping in bed, right? Yep. Our brain doesn't shut down, and then we want to use the body to shut down the brain. What do we do?
Well, first of all, can you acknowledge that you're upset?
Oh, yeah. I text, I vent, right. I talk, yeah.
Right, and then the adrenaline is pumping in your system because you're upset.
Yeah.
And you know that if you just try to sit still, you won't.
That's true. I can't even lie still.
Right. So if you're told that you need to just practice some breathing, how useful is that going to be?
Well, I've tried. Not very.
No. So see, and the way that you energize anger is that you want to fight back.
Yes.
So you could almost go through, think about your instinctual self wants to fight back. Does it want to retreat or does it want to fight?
Mine wanted to fight. That's why I went to Krav.
Okay, so what we're talking about reconciling, at the end of the day, it's as if you had two selves, and one of them is your instinctual self, and it does not play by the rules. It wants what it wants, and it follows self-preservation.
Okay.
Right? And is it okay to punch your sister in the face because you're mad at her?
Well,
right? So the other side of that self is essentially your collective self, our morality, our personal morality, or some version of socializing or that behavior. But you can almost think of it like another self that's telling you what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to feel, and intellectualizing the right and proper outcome, which is that you should be your brother's keeper, or you should have those feelings, and you're going to hear all of that shouldy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what gets you to sleep is not the shoulds. If I tell you you should sleep, you should go to sleep right now, does that help you get to sleep?
I told myself it did not. I was like, you
Right.
should, 2
But
a.m.
if I tell you, hey, I want you to really relate to those instincts, they're really beneficial. If you don't wake up in the morning with those instincts intact, you're not going to love your family. You're not going to love your work. Those instincts keep you going. They are absolutely necessary. None of us would be here without our instincts, right?
Right.
So if in your mind's eye, your imagination was birthed in dream to help reconcile the difference between an instinctual self and living with a bunch of people. Okay.
Okay, so
They're
how
not
do
gonna do what
you
you
calm yourself
say.
down?
So here's the thing. Your imagination is your key.
So you
See, if
mean
you-
like just imagine myself punching someone?
So think about it. Yeah, if you put yourself in that situation, you say, here's this thing that so-and-so said to me, and I hate the way that they're talking to me, and I hate how I'm feeling about it, and I hate that I have to feel this way, and I hate that I don't know what to do with this information or this energy. So what bubble are you in now? You're
Just reflective, I guess, right?
Well, but you're in hatred. You're trapped with
yes,
it.
yes,
You're
yes,
cold.
totally.
You're suffering.
Yes.
You're suffering with it. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you say to yourself, well, I want to just imagine that it's your movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your movie. In imagination, every night in dream, you shut out the world and you fall into your movie.
Yeah.
You are commuting between two worlds. One is your waking life, where you are attached to the outcome, attached to the people around you. And one is your dream, where you cannot be attached to anything. You are completely unattached. In fact, you don't feel any pain and you have no muscle tension.
So are you saying, okay, in order to fall asleep, imagine in your head whatever it is that you want to happen and live that through so that you calm down and you can actually fall asleep.
As long as you understand the boundaries of what you're imagining, you understand that it's a theater. You're solving the problem in theater. You're not rehearsing a plan to hurt somebody. The container is safe. You're just imagining that whatever you need to imagine that feels satisfying to you is going to happen in that octagon. And there are no rules. And you're the director of the script. So in your mind's eye, if you see yourself having this argument with, in this case, your sister, and you don't have to tell us how you solve it, but in your mind's eye, what if, before you went to sleep last night, you just imagined a solution that feels good to you, that feels good to your guts, good to your instincts, true to your instincts, true to your worth. And it doesn't matter what it looks like.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Hold a second. Richard Clarkson punched them out. He says, I would punch them out in my mind and laugh because it has that funny look, because that's funny to think about that, and then I'm calm and I can go to sleep. Richard jump on in. What's that?
Richard nailed it, because he says, I would punch him out and then I'd laugh about it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to punch somebody in real life and laugh about it. So it's very clear that we understand the limits of our behavior, the rules of engagement, and if we'll just give ourselves a break on the power of this instinctual self, that we'll just recognize and honor the power of these instincts to keep us alive, to keep us in relationship, to keep us strong, to make sure we get through these lives, by whatever means we have to. You become who you have to be to get through a situation. You're survivors.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so, if it's in your mind's eye, that you're just having an imagining. But that's what you do in dream. You see, so there's no harm in it. In fact, it's what you do every single night.
So what's interesting about that, though, is that and Virginia and Stuart, feel free to jump in whenever you guys want to. What was interesting is like, it was very hard to breathe and calm down. But you're saying rather than just trying to focus on breathing and calming and all that stuff, just play the movie in your head, go through all the emotions, yell, scream, punch, whatever, until you're like satisfied with how the movie ended. And then you'll be able to go to sleep.
Yeah. My guess is this. You don't need to physicalize it, but you might need to. But you do want to acknowledge that your body is involved, because in your mind, you're having the fight already. Your instincts are already churning. You're already throwing those punches. It's like they're coming out in like unfriendly texts or angry, judgments. But those are punches.
Yeah.
Those are fists. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making a fist in text, but it doesn't feel satisfying because there's no substance to it. So should you have a distressed exchanged in text with your sister at 12 o'clock?
No, of course not. But but I was just waiting until morning, until we all calm down and we can sit down and.
Right, but guess what? If all the hygiene here, the training here, is that when you spend the night thinking about it, are you ready to meet that conversation? Are you ready to join her in discourse?
Yeah, I was. So for me, I'm kind of weird,
well, wait,
right?
But you have a unique set of skills. You went to Krav Maga, which is take no effing prisoners.
Yep.
For people who don't know, I mean, that's letting your instincts run at full tilt, right? I mean, you're surviving.
Yeah, totally.
So you have an outlet for that kind of energy that most people don't.
But the interesting part is like the energy wasn't let out in Krav yesterday. We wore out and everything, but for me, it's like because we didn't have closure on that topic and it bugged me so much. Then I needed to have that closure. I need to have like, okay, we agree. I understand where you're coming from. You understand where I'm
that's what you told yourself. That's what you told yourself. I need to have that closure to be okay.
Yes.
See that? So this is kind of folds into the next thing. So let's say, I mean, your situation there. Just so that I'm being clear, I'm not suggesting that I'm not even suggesting that you imagine punching your sister. I'm not suggesting that you even imagine violence. Okay. All I'm suggesting is that you let your mind have at it. You let your imagination tell you, show you, improvise, amuse you, but at the end, satisfy you that you have an outcome that feels right. And the clues are going to be, you recognize, you have some irony, there's some comedy in the tragedy. You're going to laugh about something, you're going to feel something, you let go. And the other thing you're going to recognize is your brain chemistry is going to change right then and there. It's not going to change tomorrow. When you laughed about it, when Richard laughed about it, his brain chemistry had changed at that instant. You're not so alienated from the situation or from your sister or from yourself. And so what happens at night then is that flood of brain chemicals that you need to cleanse and wash your brain and heal and repair and restore, that all of those processes now can happen. Because when you are under threat, your body doesn't rest. It doesn't go through the rest cycle. You literally won't even absorb amino acids up to your brain. Because your body has an imperative that all of the energy needs to go to your muscles, because you might need to wake up and run. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But you're not under a real threat. So if you get that brain chemistry to shift, then you're going to feel the change in your physiology, and there will be a neurochemistry to support the healing that's supposed to happen overnight, and you wake up feeling refreshed, and you're ready for whatever. You might not even care that your sister was
so like the no caring thing is very interesting, because it's I'm assuming it's a nice place to be, where you can just like, yeah, whatever, laugh about it and move on. And I know a lot of people get offended by other people not caring about how they feel, right? They feel like, oh, you don't care, you don't respect me, you.
Well, The thing is, we do care. We care about everybody. We care about each other. We're all tied up in the same planet, folks. It's harder not to care.
It's hard not to care. Yes. Yes.
We care. How we show that, how we are received in that, and that's a whole nother, that's another level. But the thing is, none of we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we didn't care. And if we take that as a first premises, I care about you. I care about what happens here. I'm at the risk of pissing you off or alienating you from this conversation. I want you to hear me, that I'm hurt by what you're saying. But to deliver that message means you calmed yourself, you soothed yourself, you can make the eye contact, you can do your own little intervention. But you are your best ally in that point. So you can ask yourself, am I my best ally for this conversation, or am I actually a liability in this conversation?
Yeah.
Michael, I heard a variation of what you're talking about, if you don't mind.
Go for it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The teacher I had at the time, wonderful fellow from years ago, taught us a variation on several different techniques, but one of which was that it was useful to imagine your movie and that you are the producer. Now I would use language producer and star of the movie at the same time. And he would say, imagine the two people, let's say, are having a conversation. So both people are sitting in their chairs, and then I step out of myself and become a viewer of the conversation and allow the conversation to go on, and usually reaching a resolution at that point. But I'm the viewer of the conversation, and by seeing it, I both control it and receive the benefit of it. That was his technique.
That stuck with you. I think what you're pointing at is that we can.
There you go.
Okay. What you're saying is, I think is really interesting. As awareness, you can move in and out of all kinds of any points of view. You can step into the shoes of your sister. You can step into the position of a viewer. You can look down.
Michael, for some reason, your microphone just became a little muted, a little low.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but very low.
I don't know how to make it louder.
Oh, just get closer.
How about now?
It's okay. You guys can hear him? Just nod. Yeah? Okay, cool.
All right. So I think what you're pointing at is valuable in that we can all. Yifat, are you still here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We can shift perspective. We can move ourselves in and out of points of view. We can assume the vantage point of our opponent, of our ally, of a third party. As awareness, what point of view are you not able to access? So I think you can negotiate in lots of different ways with yourself. And one of the ways is to see from many points of view. You might be able to do that. Another is to literally hear many of your own voices, that there isn't maybe a singular voice that's having this argument. You might actually be of two minds about the situation. And
well, that was part of the exercise. If you can hear me okay.
Yep.
That was part of the exercise, was to perhaps find that the person who's being filmed, so to speak, had a different point of view than I had when I stepped out of my own body. So the body and the imagination created a different reality that I was able to watch.
Right. So
and incorporate.
There's a term here. There's a nice term here called neuroception that I like, that suggests that I'm not just aware of my body and the extent of my body, but in the field of awareness, I'm aware of the cabin the space that you're in. I'm aware of aware of many different points of view on this conversation. So we are tracking all of this information, but not aware. We're not consciously aware of it. So we're gathering all kinds of information that we're not actually aware of.
There's Richard is saying that whenever someone annoys him, he just tries to make them laugh, and then you can be mad when you laugh. So that's a way to solve all issues.
Well,
yeah.
Richard's going to pass the deserted island test then, right?
What's that?
We all get stranded, and we need to amuse ourselves. No.
Oh, so you have to make yourself laugh like on your own. I
mean, think about it. Do you, how much time do you spend during the day amusing yourself about your idiosyncrasies or about your mistakes or your? I think Richard's point is fantastic. I think you've got to invest in amusing yourself.
Yeah, be your best self. Like be your own best friend. There you go.
Well, can you be lighthearted about your own troubles? This is one of the beauties of aging is you realize that
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter if the cup is half empty or half full. As long as you've got something in the cup, you're all right.
That's true. That is true.
A doctor said to me once to create a routine when you get up each morning, and by establishing a routine, at that point I was going through a severe depression. By establishing that routine, that would help me create routine in my life. And I couldn't figure out what to do when I got out of bed in the morning. That would be, something I could do every day. And then I don't know why, the universe sent me this thought that if I just made silly faces at myself in the mirror until I broke myself up, that would be a highly useful technique. And I did. I made goofy faces at myself. You should have seen the women I was with at that point. Talk about people that were puzzled, But it did work. Just being that lighthearted soul. And I haven't remembered that for 15 years until this moment.
Yeah.
And I can see how that would be so useful in the middle of some of the stress I'm experiencing right now, is to think about some of the off-the-wall things I've done in my life that really do make people laugh, including myself.
So let me ask you this on your depression. How long did it persist? And what
I've got medically chronic depression that I'm treated for. So,
okay, so
I also went to NLP master, and it did help dramatically for a number of years, but I was unable to go back to the gentleman for
Stuart, how well do you think you sleep at night, and how long does it take for you to fall asleep?
I've got a terrible sleep pattern, and it's one of the things that I know I have to somehow correct. And this has been a lifelong problem, but sleeping is not a simple task for me.
Yeah. So this is part of the benefit of the idea that Yifat and I sort of have been kicking back and forth about having a niche community interest in sleep that is about facilitating, your better sleep today. Not waiting for it, not worrying about sleep medication or not waiting on a better mattress, but realizing that what goes on in your mind is far more powerful than anything that you do. And if you are caught up in a pattern of thought that is kind of ruminating on past grievances or resentments or gears grinding, even any little irritant or friction, that when you go to sleep at night, you're having to actually work on that. And in order to work on it, you're going into REM, and REM has a higher metabolic cost. And so your brain wakes up tired. And does a tired brain do a better job at not being depressed than a really refreshed brain? No, it does not. And I think a lot of these sleep medications actually are sedating people, and they sedate your brain. And so did you get the metabolic recuperation in your brain if you slowed down its metabolic rate by sedating it? Probably not. So, the proposal is, what if you had a little ritual before bed that was the 10 to 20 minutes of where you actually rehash the day from the point of view of the creative director, and you simply dissolve the irritations, no matter what they are, no matter how severe they are, that you come up with a way in your mind's eye, like a problem in theater, deus ex machina. It's not like you have to actually solve it in the world. Shakespeare didn't do all that so people go out and necessarily live better lives, but you change the perspective and you change the dimension of the problem. It's not the problem you had. When you remember something, you actually remember it with fresh eyes. You think about the time back in the day when you got in front of the mirror. You're not the same person, but you in the act of remembering what took place, you're actually seeing with the wisdom of the years, the fresh eyes of today. There's nothing that happened to you that you can't actually remember with fresh eyes.
And change the memory. I remember that.
Just the act of remembering it, you've changed it. You've changed it.
There was a book called "Change Your Mind and Keep the Change."
Okay.
And was essentially on that topic. I think you've got a niche there that would appeal to a whole lot of people, Michael, including myself, obviously.
Thank you. I'd love to continue that conversation.
Yeah, so actually, let's do that. So,
Okay.
Because we're at the mark. So,
Okay.
Michael, tell people where they can find you. Stuart, you tell people where they can find you. And
All right.
then we're all going to go and have coffee and dessert. How's that?
Okay,
So,
wonderful.
Michael, you first. Where can
thank-
people find you?
Yeah, thank you. The most boring man in the world.com is a website I'm just putting together.
Is it the most? The most?
The most boring man in the world.com. And then the Facebook page, I have most boring man in the world, because apparently someone is already the most boring man in the world on Facebook. But most boring man in the world on Facebook. I have a page there that I'm just in the process of doing this launchy thing. I'll say soft style, as I'm getting my confidence up to share this with the wider world. I have a brick and mortar practice in Austin, Texas, and where I see clients for both body work and hypnosis.
Yeah, you can actually raise the camera a little bit and they can see the name.
Oh, yeah. Well, right now.
There you go. Ta-da! I can stretch.
Yeah.
Right here in Austin, Texas. And then,
right
Stuart,
here.
where can people find you?
Well, I'm in mid transition from Google Plus.
I know.
You got a head start on me, Yifat. You got a big head start on me. So I'm building a site that will be up. Will be perhaps 2, but at least Nation Under Attack. And obviously a political news and interview site about today's cyber issues. And
Yep.
and then it's Facebook, unfortunately, I'm ashamed. It's Facebook, and you can find me on Facebook. And then I still, for the next month and a half, have my big profile, the extensive profile on Google Plus.
Yeah. So for until what? April, right? April is the cutoff day.
In fact, you know what that meant to me.
Stuart, I was telling Michael, we were talking the other day, and not this Michael, another Michael. But I was like, there's like the sadness of the Google Plus people is that we're grieving of the loss. And then the other grief is like the entire world doesn't understand why we're even grieving. Because they're like, what the hell happened there? But we're like, you don't even know what you're missing.
We missed it.
Well,
Yeah.
they never did. That was the
Yeah.
whole point. And so now there's a group over there you might want to dip into that this guy started, and it's one of the communities, Google Plus Mass Migration.
Oh yeah. I'm in there, and we're trying to find a home, and there's not a home. Google was the home, and nothing compares to that. And all the other social networks are not really the same. I know Gideon is working on something, but
Yeah,
Well,
Gideon,
yeah.
he's been very active at it.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about the Pro platform,
yeah.
and if there was a way to make use of the Pro platform but even trying to contact support is a little difficult. So I've stepped away from it as much as I can right now, but I still go back and talk to David Amerland and all the guys that you knew.
Yeah. So the nice thing is, like, you know, we know how to find each other, right?
Regardless of the
platform.
So you thought, may I mention something?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm taking on your challenge of having an evening show throughout the month, and I'll be rolling that out here starting probably this week.
Yay!
Where where we can have conversations related to this with in a kind of a group environment. And so I just want to make sure that people knew to maybe go to the Facebook page starting this weekend. Most boring man in the world. And
there you go. This is what we call selfless promotion, right? Or shameless promotion.
Yeah,
totally cool. So yes, guys, if you what's that?
Michael, are you just going through Facebook Live?
Yeah. He'll be so he'll be doing Facebook Lives right now from his page. So if anyone is suffering from depression, anxiety, can't sleep at night, anything that hypnosis can help you with, and you want to chat with someone about that, that would be the place to go. Meet Michael. So thanks, guys, for joining me on a short notice. It was fun reconnecting. And we're going to turn this off and go have dessert after lunch, yeah?
Enjoy. Thank you so much, Yifat.
Yeah, and Mike, thank you very much for sharing the information.
Yeah, of course. See you later.